Hello children, how are you all? I hope you all are doing well. So today in this chapter we will learn about the wonderful world of science. So children, in this chapter we will learn about and we will begin by first understanding what is science, right? We are today learning about science, right? So what is science, right? And what are the various areas that science explores, right? What is it that science wants to study, right? And what are the scientific methods that we generally hear about, right? So let's get into our topic. So curiosity about the world around us is a natural part of a human being, right? We get curious about so many things that are around us, right? So this is a very natural part of being a human. From childhood, we begin exploring and asking questions. Did you enjoy learning about the world during the preparatory stage of the school? As you enter the middle stage, we will keep exploring and understanding the fascinating world we live in with the help of a new subject known as science. So students, when we were in our childhood, we used to just look at things, ask questions, so many questions to our parents, right? So we were curious, right? And this is a part of our nature. So this is what science is also about. Science talks about and explores this curiosity, right? We want to explore the world that we see through our eyes, right? So what is a science? It begins from the curiosity. So but what is a science? What is a science? Science is a way of thinking, observing and exploring to uncover the universe secrets, right? Whatever we see outside, right? The natural world that we see outside, we think about that, we observe that, and then we explore it and uncover something new about it, something secret, right? So think of it as a big adventure where we ask questions, investigate the world and try to understand how things work. The most important thing we need for this is curiosity. See children, we are right now studying science, right? But the most important thing and the important thing I would say we need for understanding and studying science is that we should have a curiosity, right? We should have a curiosity to ask questions, observe things, right? And ask question about the world, okay? And then we are good to go to learn and study science, okay? So exploring tiny grains of sands or towering mountains, a single blade of grass or an entire forest always lead to new and exciting discoveries. So kids, be it about exploring very small tiny grains or a bacteria, or is it about understanding or towering the mountains, right? We lead to new and exciting things, right? And this is how discoveries happen. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered why the stars shine? Or watched a flower bloom and wondered how it knows when to open? Have you ever seen these things? Just looking at, when we go around, we see so many things around us. Have you ever wondered why a flower bloom at a particular time? Who tells the flower to bloom, right? So these are questions that we don't have any answer to, and this is what the curiosity is. We want to find answer, right? These are just a few of the questions, right? And that science helps us to understand. These are just a few of the mysteries. The most incredible thing about science is that it is everywhere, right? And from the depths of the ocean to the vastness of the outer space, from what's cooking in the kitchen to activities on the playground. Some of the most groundbreaking discoveries have come from the most unexpected places. Children, science is everywhere, right? Whatever I'm seeing outside through my eyes, there is a science, okay? And so therefore, we can just pay attention to a very small thing and we can find a new thing about it, okay? We can uncover something new that the world doesn't know about it, okay? So be it a vastness of the space or be it something that is cooking in the kitchen or some activities that is going in the playground, it is everywhere, okay? And do you know the most of the discoveries that has happened in the past comes from the most unexpected places, okay? So science is like a jigsaw puzzle, okay? Have you ever played this jigsaw puzzle? So science is like a puzzle with endless pieces, okay? When we play this jigsaw puzzle, we have a set of puzzle pieces, right? And we have a limited number of pieces that we have to put in the puzzle. But science has endless pieces to this puzzle, right? We just need to keep on putting the pieces in the puzzle, right? We don't know when it is ending. Each time we make a new discovery, we add another piece to the puzzle, right? Another understanding to our limited understanding. The fun part is that there is always more to explore because every new piece leads to new questions. Sometimes new discoveries can change how we see things and may even require us to adjust our understanding. So whenever a new discovery happens, is the knowledge that has grown from it, right? That has grown from it adds to the existing knowledge, okay? And sometimes what happens is the new discoveries completely changes the understanding of the present world, okay? So let's begin with Earth, okay? The place we are residing. It is the only planet we know that supports life. So it is important to protect it. Earth is filled with various plants and animals living in the different places. For instance, you might have seen a seed grow into a plant or a tree, right? So let's begin with the Earth, okay children? This is the place where we are living from billions of years ago, right? Not just us, but our forefathers, right? Our ancestors are living on this planet. So let's learn about it, okay? So let us explore something before we begin exploring the Earth. So to learn more about nature by observing plants, animals and many other things using your senses, okay? So let's observe our outside world, okay? So what we can do? Go to a park or a garden, look at plants and animals, listen to sounds and touch different texture. Write down your observation in a notebook. So kids, what you have to do is go outside in a garden, okay? And I would suggest to go alone, okay? Or maybe with one or two friends. Just look at different plants, observe them carefully, okay? And hear different sounds, touch different textures, the different texture of the flower, the petal, right? The soil, and write down the observation, right? Whatever you're feeling, whatever you're seeing in your notebook. Record whatever you see, hear and touch, right? And note any interesting details you discover. This activity will help you learn more about the natural world, more about the nature and appreciate its diversity by using your senses to explore and observe. So when you will go outside, you will see a single flower is not exactly same to the other flower, right? There would be, you will recognize, you will appreciate the diversity, right? So this is what this exercise is for. Now let's go to the next page. So the seed turns into what? The flower, okay? The seed turns into the plant or the tree. So these are just a few ways to see how life evolves and change, right? When we talk about seed, it changes into a whole tree, right? Can you see the difference between a seed and a whole tree? Right? It is just a minuscule of a tree. Yet we can see that this is how the life evolves, right? This is how the life changes. Now, what are the areas that science explores, right? What are the different areas? What is that? What are those things that science talks about? So science is a continuous journey of exploration, evolving the discovery of new things, asking questions and learning about the world. It covers everything from biology's tiny details to the vastness of the space. Science impacts our daily lives, from the food we eat to the technology we use. It also helps us to understand and manage Earth's resources like water and support space mission to find resources beyond Earth. This demonstrates how science connects our immediate world of Earth with the broader universe known as the space. So children, science is a continuous journey, right, which begins from curiosity and ends nowhere, right? You keep on discovering new things, you keep on asking questions, you keep on learning new things, and you keep on uncovering new things for the world, right? It also deals with the smallest thing that biology talks about, right? And it also talks about the vastness of the space, like planets, like stars, sun, right? These are the vast objects. The science also talks about them. So science, if you see closely, that it impacts our everyday life. For example, right now I'm using this pen, right, and this board. So here technology is involved, right? And here science is involved, right? The physics is involved. Right now I'm standing here, the physics is involved. After some time, let's say, if I'll eat something or if I'll drink something, what will happen? My whole body is completely a living body, right? So the biology is happening there, okay? The physics also is happening there. So we interact with science every day at every second, okay? So let's begin this thing by understanding our planet Earth. So Earth has diverse structures including mountains, oceans and deserts with dynamic weather patterns and ecosystem. Its ecological activity such as volcanoes and earthquakes shapes the planet's surface. So if we talk about our planet Earth, right, it is not completely like this, like plain circle, right? It has mountains, it has oceans, then desert, right? The soil is also very different. The weather pattern is also different. And the type of animals and plants that we see and we find in a particular place is also different, right? So the geographical thing that is connected to one particular location is also different. Sometimes, somewhere we see volcanoes, right? There are some places on the earth where we see volcanoes. There are some places where we see the earthquakes often happening, right? So science helps us to understand these earth features, which is important for predicting natural disasters, managing resources and protecting the environment, okay? So let's say if we talk about the earthquakes, right? So science will help us to understand the plates, the tectonic plates that leads to the earthquake, right? And this will further help us to figure out and predict the natural disaster and how then we can manage resources, protect our environment, right? Can you see this minute details here? So by learning about Earth, we can address challenges like climate change and conservation, leading to better decision for a healthier and more sustainable planet. So children, if we learn about our Earth, okay, we'll observe our Earth, what is happening there, right? Why it is happening, and what are the causes that is leading to this cause, okay? Then we will be able to address the bigger crises like climate change and conservation on our Earth, right? And this will lead to a healthier place and more sustainable planet. So let us understand most important aspects of the Earth that are valuable and essential for the living thing. So let's talk about the various kind of life that are present on the Earth, on our planet Earth. So Earth is a home to many different living organisms, right, which live in different ecosystems such as rainforest, deserts, mountains and coastlines. And each of these areas provide a unique environment where plants and animals can thrive. So children, on our Earth there are diversity of plants and animals which live here, right? We don't even know the exact number, right? Every year, every month we keep on discovering new insects, new plants, new animals, right? So, and they live not on a very particular, in a particular area of the earth. They are scattered everywhere, right? And this forms the ecosystem, okay? So, they are living in rainforest, desert, mountains, you name anything, right? They can even live in the coldest region like Antarctica, okay? So, learning about these ecosystems will help us to understand how every species is connected and why it is crucial to protect our natural world, okay? So when we will learn about our ecosystem, right, how this everything, how water, how animals, how insect, how ant is also connected to a bat, is also connected to a tree, right? When we will understand this interconnectedness, it will help us to protect our natural world, right? Then the importance of each and every species, each and every species of plant and animal will be appreciated. By caring for our environment, we ensure the survival of diverse life form and maintain the balance in nature. So children, when we talk about our ecosystem, right, we are not just talking about a single plant species or animal species. When we will take care of one particular species, we are not just taking care of that species, we are also taking care of the interconnected species and the plants that is connected to it. Okay, so basically we are caring for the whole environment, right? And that's maintain the balance in the nature. Okay, so this knowledge also helps us appreciate the beauty and complexity of our planet. So children, when we will see and observe this diversity in the nature, right, then we will appreciate the beauty also, right, and the complexity that is there in the nature, right? So science basically helps us to explore these ecosystems, whatever we talked about, understand how they work and find ways to protect them. By studying Earth through science, we can learn how to keep its plants and animals safe and healthy for the future. So children, science helps us to explore these dimensions, right? What are the different ways to protect our natural world, right? How they are living, why are they living in such conditions, right? So science basically tells us how, what, when, everything about a particular thing. Now let's talk about the food for life, right? The life is existing on our planet Earth, but what's the source of this life? Have you ever thought about it? We all need energy, right? Even the single smallest ant also need energy. Where this energy is coming from? So food is essential, right? We all eat food. So food is essential for survival and also reflects our cultural identity. It supports our growth and health by providing important nutrients. Studying how food works helps us learn where our food comes from, its nutrition value and how it affects our bodies. Exploring different cuisines shows us the biological, social and cultural aspects of food, highlighting how it represents diverse culture and benefits our well-being. So, since everybody is connected to food, right? Everyone needs food for survival. The food just not represents the energy, it also reflects our cultural identity, right? If we talk about the outside world, let's say if we talk about some people living in the China or in the Germany, they have different food habits, right? They eat different kind of foods. This tells us about the cultural identity, right? This also talk about the kind of food that different kind of people living in different areas require, right? This tells us about the biological, social and cultural aspects of food, right? So by understanding how much important nutrient is for our health, we will have the curiosity to learn that from where is our food is coming from, right? What is its nutrition value, right? Is the chemical that has been put on the plants, on the fruit is good? Is it good, right? So these will be the questions that we will start asking. Okay, so now let's go to our next page. So in a diverse country like India, food is particularly interesting. How is it interesting? So with many different cuisines and tasty dishes, it makes us wonder about their ingredients and how they are made, right? So have you ever had idli dosa, or let's say lassi, or what? The paratha, right? The bajra. So if we talk about the India particularly, right, there is so much diversity in our food, right? We grow different types of crops, right? And then we eat different types of food items. So this tells about our country also. Okay, so now let's talk about different materials, okay? So every day we come across many different things, right? Each with unique properties and uses. For example, metals like steel are used in construction and vehicles, while plastics are found in packaging and household items. Natural fibers such as cotton and wool are used to make clothes and bedding. So can you see the world we are interacting is the natural world, first of all, right? The ecosystem. But beside that, we are also interacting with the material, right? And they could be natural or dead, right? For example, if I'm talking about this pencil, right, this pen, it is made up of steel, right? And I'm interacting it with this, the house that we live in, right, the vehicle that we use, they're all made up of steel, plastic, right? So we are also interacting with these things on a daily basis. If we talk about the natural fibers, we all wear clothes, right, made up of different type of fiber, cotton, wool, right? So we all are interacting with different materials every day. Science comes here. Science helps us to understand how to identify, classify and use these materials. It also explains how we can separate and process different substances. So it was science that helped us to use cotton for our clothing, right? So this is how the science comes into picture when we talk about these different materials, okay? So knowing about materials helps us make better choices and create useful products. When we got to know about the cotton, right, its property, how it acts, how good it is in summer or winters, then this knowledge about the cotton helped us make better choices, right, and create useful products. By learning about their properties, we can improve how things are made and ensure they work well in our daily activities. So we keep on improving, right? When we find something new about anything, we get knowledge about something, right? How this is working, how this is not working. We keep on refining our information, right? And this is how we ensure that the things that we are using are well made. So understanding materials also allow us to develop new technologies and solve problems more effectively. So when we will understand our outside world, not just the natural world, but this aspect also, it will help us to develop new technology and solve problems for the world more effectively. What else do we see? We see water, right? So water is essential for all living things and exists in three forms: liquid, solid and gas, right? So its special properties like dissolving substance, having surface tension and being part of the water cycle make it essential for life, right? We all interact with water, right? And it is one of the most essential part of a living being, because we consume water, we need water for our bodies. And we see that water has a special property. It dissolves substance, right? It dissolves most of the substance into it without any reaction, without any change. Then it has a surface tension and it is also a part of a water cycle, right? So science helps us to study these properties of water, right? These different liquid, the properties of liquid, gas and the solids, okay? So how water works and why it is so important, right? So science, as we were talking about earlier, that science starts with the curiosity, right? It starts with the question, and when we will ask question, we will understand how water works and why it is important to us, right? And this will lead us to better actions. So by learning about the properties of water, we can better appreciate its role in nature and everyday life. This knowledge helps us to manage water resources, keep our environment clean and ensure we use water wisely, right? So now can you see that by learning about water, right, about its properties, about its role in nature and how important it is, this will let us manage water, right? This will let us keep our environment clean, right? And we will use water more wisely, okay? Now let's understand the space, okay? So this was all about, broadly about our earth, right? Now let's go a little more beyond our earth. So the study of astronomy takes us beyond the earth, exploring the vastness of space. It covers everything from how our solar system works to the nature of stars and galaxies. Astronomy sparks curiosity about celestial bodies like the sun, moon, and distant stars and planets. By learning about these objects, we gain insights into the origin of universe and the possibility of life beyond Earth. When we talk about Earth, we can touch it, we can sense it, the outside world around us. But when we talk about the world that is beyond our Earth, right, the space, we just can only see it through our eyes. We cannot touch it, we cannot smell it, we cannot hear it as such, right? So this sparks more curiosity, more questions in knowing about these celestial bodies that we do see, but we don't know where they have come from, right? So we have curiosity, we have questions about sun, moon. So astronomy, the study of the space, right, the study of the universe, this is also a part of science that helps us to understand the space, okay? So science and technology plays a crucial role in the exploration of space. It helps us to understand space more deeply, develop new tools for observation, and make exciting discoveries about the universe. This knowledge not only satisfies our curiosity, but also enhances our understanding of cosmos and the place within it, okay? So now can you see the importance of science and technology? For knowing the space, we need technology, right? We need something new that can go there, right? We need to understand if we want to explore the space, we need to understand the space, the environment, right? So this knowledge not only satisfies our curiosity, our question, but it also helps, but it also enhances our understanding of this whole world where we are living. Now let's go to the next page. So do you know, people with scientific temperament are open to new ideas even if they go against what they currently believe. And they know that scientific knowledge can change as we learn more. So people with more questions, right, very curiosity driven people, they have a scientific temperament. And what is that? That is, they are open to new ideas, right? They are never stick to a particular thing, right? Because a new knowledge can change your whole mindset, whole belief, right? So we should keep on questioning, right? We should not accept anything for granted. Now let's check our progress, what we have learned so far. So just tell me, science is like a dash with endless pieces. So this you will do by your own, okay? Now let's talk about the scientific method. So there are different methods through which we explore this natural world, right? But a scientific method is a stepwise approach, okay? Step-by-step approach that using which we explore this natural world, okay? So let's understand about this scientific approach, scientific method. So the scientific method is a step-by-step approach used to explore questions and discover answer, okay? So in scientific approach, there is a step-by-step approach. For example, there is step 1. After step 1, there will be step 2, then step 3, right? So this is how the scientific method is done, okay? And it explores questions and discover new things, okay? First, scientists make observation about the world around them. Then they form hypotheses, which are educated guess about what they think will happen, okay? Next, they conduct experiment to test these guesses and collect data. Finally, they analyze the results to see if their hypotheses were correct. So what these scientists do, right? How do they find new things? So first, they make observation around the world. They observe it, right? Then based on their observation, right, They form a hypothesis, right? They form a kind of guess, a kind of informed guess about a certain thing, right? That this, for example, this thing will happen like this, okay? Next, then they will conduct experiment. They will test using different things, using a method, stepwise method, right? They will do experiments and see whether whether that particular thing happens in that way or not, right? These experiments will lead to data, right? Some data, and then they will study this data, analyze this data, and this data will result in some kind of new thing, right? Whether that hypothesis will be correct or not correct, right? So this method helps ensure that findings are accurate and trustworthy because it relies on evidence and can be repeated by others. So students, scientific method is a method that is accurate and trustworthy, right? Because it follows a stepwise manner. And it is also based on the evidence. It has some results, it has some proofs based on what it is saying, right? And it can be repeated, not just by that person, but by anybody, right? Because it has a steps, defined steps. It's not just for scientists. Anyone can use it to investigate and understand things better. By following these steps, we can systematically solve problems and learn more about how things work, okay? So this is a systematic approach that scientists follow while doing science, okay? So what is the sequential steps of scientific method that we are talking about here? So the scientists follow following systematic steps while conducting a scientific study. First, what they do? They observe. Observation. Notice something interesting or a problem that needs investigation, right? They notice something very interesting. Now the question arises, okay? The question arises about that observation. This leads to the formulation of question based on that observation, okay? Now, based on their observation, they will formulate an educated hypothesis. They will formulate an educated guess. Make an educated guess or prediction about the answer to the question, okay? They will make a prediction about the answer to the question and then they will experiment it. Design and conduct experiment to test that hypothesis. And lastly, data collection. Gather and record data from the experiments, okay? Then they will analyze it, okay? So, analyze the data to determine if it supports or rejects the hypothesis, okay? So, whether by the end of the experiment, by the end of the analysis, whether the hypothesis would be rejected or accepted, right? And it will lead to some conclusion, right? So, draw conclusions based on the analysis and decide if the hypothesis is correct or needs more improvement, okay? And then the last step is communication. Share the results with other thought reports, presentations or publications, okay? So, when we get something, any new information, right? New knowledge when we create, we disperse it through reports, through presentation or publication, right? So, there is one activity for you. Determine why a light bulb is not lighting up, okay? So, what you will do? Check if the light bulb is properly connected in, right? Test the bulb in another socket, inspect the light switch and wiring, replace the bulb with a new one, right? So, this is how we do this, right? Whether we test the bulb, whether we check the wiring, right? Whether we check the switch. So, these are the different experiments that we do. The light bulb does not turn on even after checking connections, right? So, this means that what we discovered through this? That we discovered that the bulb was faulty. Replacing it with a new bulb restored the light. So, when you restored the bulb, right, you put the new bulb, you got the light. So, this means that the bulb was faulty, right? This is how, in a very broad way, an experiment is also conducted. Now, can everyone be a scientist? What do you think? So, a scientist is a person who uses systematic methods to study and understand the natural world. They conduct experiments, make observation and analyze data to answer questions, solve problems and discover new knowledge. So, who's a scientist? So, scientist is a person who uses these stepwise systematic method to understand the natural world. Okay. He follows all these steps. Scientists use the scientific method to solve problems or make new discoveries. However, anyone who uses this method is acting like a scientist, right? For example, if someone's plants are not growing well, they might wonder if they are getting enough sunlight or if the soil needs improvement. She might try adjusting these factors to see if the plants start to thrive, right? So, for example, the plant is not growing well, right? So, the person, she might try adjusting various things, right? The plant, the sunlight, the nutrients, or maybe the seed, to see if that plants thrive or not, right? So similarly, a person baking a cake might try to figure out why is it not rising by checking if they use enough baking powder or if the oven temperature was correct. Now let's go to the next page. A driver noticing that their car engine is making strange noises might check if the issue is a low oil level or a loose belt. If in these everyday situations, asking questions and seeking solutions is just like being a scientist. So in our everyday life, right, we see some problem, we try to understand the cause and then we try to fix it, right? So this is not very different, it's just being like a scientist. Now let's check our progress. So this you will do, this is a true and false statement, right? And you accordingly you have to write true or false. Now in this chapter we read about few words. Science. So science, the systematic study of the natural world through observation, experimentation and analysis. Ecosystem, a community of living organisms interacting with each other and their physical environment, right? Materials, substance or components used to make objects and tools, each with unique properties and uses. Astronomy, the study of celestial objects, space and the universe as a whole. Okay. So let's see what we have studied in this chapter. So science explains the world and the universe through questions and curiosity. Discoveries in science are like puzzle pieces that lead to new questions. Science helps us to understand the Earth's environment and resources for better decision making, right? It shows how food affects health and reflects cultural diversity. Science explains the uses and properties of materials in daily life. In astronomy, studies space, revealing details about our solar system and beyond. So I hope this chapter is clear to you now. So based on the understanding from this chapter, you have to revise and look around yourself, ask questions and do the rest of the exercise in your homework.